I feel like, and I need to just kind of like, I'm always going to state that there's a little bit of a conflict of interest that I have, like my son and my partner work in McLeod's, but my goodness, Chief Wolf, can you give us an update? Is it at the point of becoming, I mean, I just keep seeing these reports and and people love posting your BPD newsletter clips about McLeod's. That's the one people seem to post on social media all the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious what the state of that property is.
Well, I think, I believe that they are cooperating in a way that's helpful now. Their owner, and a lot of times you run into this where the owners talk a good game, but they don't want to spend any money to do anything. And I don't know as though the owner's even on site when a lot of this goes on. One of the major problems we had the previous week is now in jail. The guy that was involved in the shooting up on the east side the other day that we scooped up, he was causing problems up there the previous weekend. And that guy is a major problem. So having him gone helps.
Okay.
So hopefully it won't continue. We've sent stuff off to the Navy and I think they're considering about making it off limits. Because if you keep getting the same volatile mixture of, and some of it is not even McLeod's fault. You got people parking, a couple blocks away, drinking a whole bunch of alcohol and then coming on into their establishment already drunk. But that's where the staff there has to recognize it and kick them out and not, you got to stop it before it gets going when it's out of control. So.
Yeah. And I used to do Lyft and the big pickups and drop-offs and go-betweens. You can guess the two places, the garage and McLeod's, right? So just constantly back and forth, back and forth. And I could see how it could be a situation where things get past staff real easy because it's so crazy and crowded. I mean, I definitely have seen bigger crowds, but the energy, and maybe it's a local versus Navy type of energy too. I don't know, but there's a lot of energy. I guess that's the best way I can put it without being, too discreet. So yeah, I just was kind of wanting to check in on that. I might ask you again if there's an update in a few months, because it just feels like every weekend there's some new horrible report about McLeod's and some violence that's happening, and it's gotten more and more. I don't know if it's gotten more and more dangerous, but it feels like it's ramping up. Like the violence is ramping up to more frequent than it was this time last year.
Yeah, and we and then you add to it kind of the national narrative of don't cooperate with the police. You don't have to obey the law. You don't have to listen to the police. I mean, we have a lot of just kind of an overall lawless attitude. You probably see it on the roadways. You've probably seen a lot of cars with no license plates. You've watched some of the motorcycles go by at 90 miles an hour. And there's this, it's kind of twofold. You've got a whole bunch of people that are supporting us like I've never seen in my career. I mean, people coming up and saying, oh my gosh, thank you for what you do. Calling up, sending us notes like I've never seen. And then the other side of it is when you get in a crowd like that, just this whole, even at the high school, at some of the basketball games this year, I mean, 14-year-old girls just openly confronting authority like we've never seen before. And they're under the misguided idea that they can do that they're allowed to just flagrantly, just ignore law and order. And so some of that we hand back to the school district to deal with and just say, they're yours, you deal with them. Or find someone else to do security for you. We're not going to do this anymore because it just doesn't rise to a level where we need to be involved. And there's just a no-win at some point for the city and the police department. But when it comes to McLeod's, it is, we work really hard to work with the owner to start with. And if we start getting the sense that we're not getting any help from the owner, then we go other routes. We get liquor control. They come in, they put people in there to see if they'll overserve, if they'll serve underage people. We talked to the fire department about capacities and,
Mhm.
fire issues. We talked to the military about making it off limits. We bring in the state patrol and we start picking off all the drunks leaving there. And there's lots of different ways you go about it. And the whole purpose though is public safety, because if one kid gets killed up there, that's one too many. And predictable is preventable. So if we can do everything we can to make it well known that that's just not a place to go be a fool, go have fun. It's one of the only nightclubs in easy driving distance for people in Silverdale, Bremerton area. Don't make it a bad thing. So, and then as the bar starts to establish who the problem people are, and they start to trespass people and just, they have whole pictures of people that, you're not welcome here anymore. The word gets out. Sometimes they'll change their music venue to kind of dissuade things depending on what their
Oh, yeah.
problems are.
I know. Yeah, I know about that too. My partner works all night and he works until closing. And sometimes they will, when the energy is crazy, they'll turn the lights on early. Things like that. I just was thinking more about if I were to see the data, if I were looking at a data chart, right, on the number of incidences that have occurred in a 12-month period, and I don't know, there's always, reasons why, more people get picked off if you have a particular emphasis in that space. Then there's going to be more, more citations, more, incidents, recorded. But it just feels like, and maybe it's just a general atmosphere in Bremerton that there's rising incidences of violence. And so that's what I'm curious, is because causation or correlation doesn't always equal causation, right?
I think over the history of Bremerton, we've always had that bar. As far
Somewhere
back as
in the city. Okay.
Yeah. It was McLeod's over on Perry Avenue. Before that, it was Castaways. Before it was Castaways, it was Noodles. It was the Night Shift Tavern. It was Sinclair's. It was, for the longest time, it was the El Camino down on Callow, which then is now Chet's Place. Then the Garage, then not the Garage. The Garage, they made some big changes out at the Garage.
Tell me about the changes they made that helped improve their atmosphere, so to speak.
I don't know.
Okay.
I specifically don't know what they did. Suddenly we just weren't having the problems out there like we were. And I have a feeling it was their staff clamped down on who was getting, we still have fights and we still have problems out there. And remember, when it's a bar and it spills out, it's not just one or two officers. It's typically the shift that's going, and then a few county and a few state patrol too, because now the last incident we had at McLeod specifically, because of how we had people at the crowd pulling at the officer. One of my officers has scratches up and down his arm from one of the females because he was arresting one of the guys, and one of the females came over and was literally attacking the officer. We've made it very clear we're not wading into that mess again. We're going to wait until we have enough people, and then we'll move in and take care of it. So people get hurt during that time frame, but our officers are not going to get hurt because it's just too dangerous. So, and we've had that over the history with different places. El Camino was one of them where we would wait until we had at least a dozen or more officers on scene, and then we would move in as a group and start arresting people that were still causing problems. And we just do them one at a time instead of, getting into a big melee. And it's safer for us. It's safer for the people we're arresting.
Absolutely.
And then if we have to do that kind of stuff, then we just shut the establishment down for the night too. And we tell them, yeah, you're done. And that hurts their bottom line. They don't want to get there. So.
Well, how those owners are all about the bottom line. I'm sure they don't want to see the Navy personnel have to go away. And so I was just curious. I guess it's not really our job to do technical assistance with owners. I was just kind of wondering if they ever, made connections in that way.
Yeah, we've had meetings up there with the owner and ongoing. The operations lieutenant and captain are up there talking to them, and
is there a set of best practices that like, is there a resource?
Oh yeah, the liquor control. Yeah,
okay.
they come in and they have all of that, and especially for bars that are kind of notorious or out of control.
Okay.
And and then other times, some of it is too is we keep telling people is everybody wants your police department to be their private security, and it doesn't work that way. They as you get these complaints as a council person. Well, why don't the police come and do this for my private property? And it's like, well, that's not what we're here for. And there's not enough of us to do it. If your business is having this problem, hire private security. And like Diamond Parking, we got into it with one of them recently, and it was, well, that's a service that the city just doesn't provide. But I know in Seattle for a fact that you have security people that work in your parking lots. Why don't you hire them here also? If you want that kind of atmosphere in your parking lot for your customers, then provide it. But it's not the city that's footing that bill. So that's something that we encourage people to is, you need more security.
Yeah, well, the liquor board has best practices for how establishments can make their place safer. Okay, thank you for the update. I was just kind of wanted to check in on that. I mean, it's not just social media, I hear about it weekend nights when my partner, gets off work. I hear about, oh, there's another fight. Oh, there's this, but he doesn't always see it because he's in the back. He keeps out of the,
Well, he's smart.
Oh yeah, he's not security. No, he.
Yep, stay out of the line of fire. So.
That's right. So it's he's like, that's not my job. Okay, thank you for the update. I have an update, and y'all know the noise ordinance.